Welcome to the ACT reading test. So, for this passage, I'm actually going to first model what it looks like to speed read something, kind of like in that video. So, this is how I do my speed reading. First, I start with this paragraph. So, I'm going to read it silently, just so you can kind of see the rate at which I read when I read silently. Okay, so notice as I read it, and then I just started something that looked significant to me, and then I put a dash right there. Because also, so I think as a physician, nature's richness is to be studied in the phenomena of health and disease and the endless forms of, so that felt kind of like an introduction to the paragraph, to the essay, what he's going to be talking about. So now, just watch me read this next bit. Okay, so I just did that. Hopefully you were able to see me. Now I just realized maybe you weren't able to see me do everything. But that's kind of what my markings look like, and it took me 2.5 minutes-ish. So now I'm going to answer the questions. The quotation by Ellis Vygotsky in lines 32 through 41 is used in this passage to support the idea that, so 32 through 41, this one, I'm just going to reread it. If a blind child or a deaf child achieves the same level of development as a normal child, then the child with a defect achieves this in another way, by another course, by other means. This uniqueness transforms the minus of a handicap into the plus of compensation. Okay, so children with handicaps should be studied in the same way as children defined by physicians as normal. No, it doesn't say that. Deficits need to demonstrate intactness in order to be judged acceptable. Not sure. Neural or sensory mishap occurs in children as well as adults. You know. Development of children with handicaps may proceed in positive yet distinctive ways. Definitely. 32. The author of the passage refers to the work of A.R. Luria and Ellis Vygotsky primarily to underscore the idea that people who have Ellis Vygotsky and A.R. Luria, who studied the long-term survival of patients and the ways the adaptations they use to survive, underscore the idea that people who have the disabilities or developmental disorders learn to create new selves, maybe. Disabilities or developmental disorders need special treatment, no. Unusual handicaps are qualitatively different. Neural mishaps have minutely differentiated burdens, no. Okay, lines 42 through 53 suggest that prior to A.R. Luria's search, medical researchers had thought of the brain as 42 through 53. That such radical adaptations could occur demanded, Luria thought, a new view of the brain. A sense of it as a programmed and static rather than not as programmed and static. So that's what it was before. So programmed and static means unchanging. As it is used in line 41, the word compensation most nearly means this uniqueness transforms the minus of a handicap into the plus of compensation. Adaptation? Into the plus of adaptation? Yes. Doesn't work for plus of payment, and it's definitely not those two. 35. The author's main purpose in lines 54 through 69 is to show 54 through 69 from here to here that this sense of the brain's remarkable capacity for the most striking adaptations, not least in the special and often desperate circumstances of neural or sensory mishap. Okay. The author's main purpose, how he has come to think differently about the brain, maybe. Why sickness often causes a contraction of life. Okay, right here he says sickness implies a contraction of life, but doesn't explain why. When he had made new discoveries about the brain? No. Which of his subjects help him redefine the term norm? No. I'm going to go with A. So notice I didn't really fully think that one through, nor did I fully read this through, but just based on my knowledge of what I've read so far, that kind of makes the most sense to me, but we can go back and double check. Nearly all of my patients, so it seems to me, whatever their problems, reach out to life not only despite their conditions, but often because of them, and even with their aid. How he has come to think differently about the brain. Yeah, so learning about his patients and how their outside lives affect their diseases is definitely how he has come to think differently about the brain. 36. The author of the passage makes it clear that when it comes to understanding the effects of a disease on an individual patient, it is necessary for medical doctors to adhere to the established norms of human behavior in diagnosing and treating the disease. I'm not sure. Quickly establish a method of treatment that will save the patient from further suffering. Probably not. Examine the ways that people learn to live with a disease in their daily lives. Good. I like that one because that was a real focus for him. It was like right here, he talks about getting into their real lives. Know each person's brain is minutely differentiated and responsible for the disease being studied? Maybe, but I think it's age. A focus definitely seems to be on real lives. The last paragraph suggests that the author's main reason for leaving the hospital to visit his patients is to allow him to feel more like a patient than a physician, become a more important part of the real world, understand his patients' illnesses better. I think it's C. Examining rare forms of life in part. Explore my subject lives. Part like a naturalist. But most of all like a physician, called here and there to make house calls. House calls at the far borders of human experience. I think so. No, it's definitely not D. I think it's C. The paradox mentioned in the second paragraph, lines 9 through 14, is best described by which of the following statements? Defects, disorders, bringing out latent powers, developments, evolutions, forms of life that might never be seen or even be imaginable in their absence. It is the paradox of disease, in this sense, its creative potential, that forms the central theme of this book. The paradox of disease. The course of human evolution is guided by the creative potential of the brain. Serious illnesses can lead directly to previously unthought of yet productive developmental change. Yes. Because that's kind of his thing, is sickness leads to change. Sickness may contract life, but in so doing it can maintain the physical norm. The long-term study of disorders and diseases brings out the creative skills of researchers. As it is used in line 15, the word ravages most nearly means destructive action, is my guess, but I should go look. Thus, while one may be horrified by the ravages, no, a developmental disorder doesn't exactly have destructive actions. Fatal nature. That's something that a developmental disorder has. The word miracle in line 52 refers most specifically to the ways in which there are hundreds of tiny areas crucial for every aspect of perception and behavior. The miracle is how they all cooperate, are integrated together in the creation of a self. The word miracle, brain function disorders are cured, unique handicaps are compensated for. The different areas of the brain work together, the creative potential of it. It's definitely not F, might be G, H, or J. 52. The miracle is how they all cooperate, are integrated together. The brain is minutely differentiated. So it's talking about the brain. So it's not G, because that's talking about a disease. So it's H. Okay, let's go check my answers. Oops, wrong answers. Hang on. Wait, okay, so I lost my Google Doc of answers, so we'll look at these answers. So 31, I have D, 32 is F, 33 is B, 34 is J, 35 is A, 36 is H, 37 is C, 38 is G, 39 is D, darn it! And 40 is H. Okay, it is D. That's what I wanted to put, was destructive actions. Man, blast. Okay, so the word ravages means destructive actions. But anyway, thanks for listening.